It's Goldman Diaries. I found the ring on a Tuesday. It was late, already dark, and I was tossing his jacket into the laundry when I felt something hard in the pocket. I thought it was his keys, maybe a lighter. But no, it was a small velvet box. No note, no receipt, just silence, waiting to be opened. And I opened it. Of course I did. There it was. A diamond ring. Classic cut. Clean. Simple. The kind I would have picked myself. But I hadn't picked it. And he hadn't offered it. He was in the shower, singing off-key like always. Just another night in our quiet little life. Dinner dishes still in the sink. Our cat curled on the windowsill. Everything. Normal. Too normal. And I stood there, holding that box, feeling like someone had pulled a trapdoor open beneath me. Because there's a specific kind of cold that doesn't touch your skin, it hits your spine first. That was what I felt. My name is Samantha. I lived with Michael for 2.5 years. We were the definition of stable. Comfortable routines. Grocery runs. Netflix binges. He wasn't the flowers and poetry type, more the I fixed the leak under the sink kind of love. Quiet. Grounded. Steady. At least that's what I believed. But that night, holding a ring he never mentioned, I heard something else in the silence. Doubt. If it were for me, why didn't he say anything? Why hide it? Why did he feel so distant lately? And then a thought hit me, sudden and sharp. He's planning to propose, but not to me. I stood frozen in the hallway when he stepped out of the shower. Hair wet. Barefoot. Smiling. Hey babe, he said, wrapping an arm around me, kissing my temple. What's up? I didn't move. Just smiled. Nothing. Just tired. He didn't notice the box behind my back. Didn't see the way my hand was trembling. That's when I made the worst decision of my life. I didn't ask. I didn't give him the chance to explain. I slipped the box back into his coat pocket, grabbed my keys, and walked out. Not in a storm. Not in tears. Just numb. And by the time I found myself sitting across from my best friend in a dim restaurant, with a glass of wine I didn't remember ordering, the fear had already turned into certainty. He had someone else. And I? I was about to destroy everything for good. The restaurant was warm. Dim lighting. Low music. A place where couples whispered across candles and clinked glasses like nothing in the world could touch them. I was not one of them. Knees pulled tight under the table, fingers wrapped around the stem of a wine glass. I sat across from Claire, my best friend since college. She was talking soft, concerned, but her words blurred behind the sound of my own heartbeat. I just don't get it, I finally whispered. Why wouldn't he tell me? If it was for me, why hide it? Claire tilted her head. Sam, are you sure it's not for you? That sentence. That one question. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe I'd overreacted. That Michael was planning some quiet surprise. That I'd ruined it all in my head. But something inside me had already snapped. That quiet kind of fear, the one that doesn't scream, just sinks. It told me, if he was hiding something this big, maybe I didn't know him at all. And then he appeared. A man at the bar. Leaning back, casual. Watching. He had that kind of face you notice twice, first for the smile, second for the way it lingers. He caught my eye. I looked away. Then back. Claire had gone quiet. Maybe she saw it too. He walked over. Smooth, unhurried. Mind if I join you? He asked. Eyes locked on me. I should have said no. Instead, I moved my purse to the side. And just like that, Michael's place was taken by a stranger. His name was Brad. He was charming. Polished. A little too practiced. He listened. Or at least, he acted like he did. Said things like, no one deserves to feel uncertain like that. And, you shouldn't have to doubt the person you come home to. And that line? That's when I leaned in. That's when the second glass of wine stopped tasting like guilt and started tasting like escape. I don't remember how we left. I remember the car. Parked off some quiet road. Windows fogged. My breath catching in my throat like I was watching myself from the outside. And then it happened. Fast. Clumsy. Silent. No passion. Just desperation. When the cab dropped me off in front of our house, I sat in the driveway for 10 minutes before walking in. Michael was asleep. His side of the bed warm. He rolled over and mumbled something half asleep. I said nothing, slipped under the covers and stared at the ceiling. It wasn't the act that haunted me. It was the choice. Because the next morning, I did what every coward does after a disaster. I pretended it never happened. But you don't get to erase the past, especially when it shows up 2 days later in the form of a perfect evening. Candles, wine, his best shirt, a nervous smile on his face. And that box, the same one I found in his coat. He opened it, took my hand, and said words I'll never forget. "Samantha, will you marry me?" He was nervous. That surprised me most. Michael, the man who fixed things before I noticed they were broken, who never wavered, never flinched, was sitting across from me like a teenager on prom night. Shirt ironed, hair still damp from the shower. A little off-center smile as he reached across the table. There were candles, music, a bottle of wine we'd been saving for a special occasion. He'd made dinner, pasta, my favorite. The table was set with actual cloth napkins, a dozen roses in the center. Everything felt carefully chosen. And then came the box. The same velvet box I'd found in his coat pocket days ago. He opened it, slowly, took my hand. His voice didn't shake. "Samantha, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" And just like that, my world split into two timelines, the one where I said yes, and the one where I told the truth. I said yes. Of course I did. I smiled. I kissed him. I let the moment unfold like nothing was broken inside me. Like I hadn't made the worst decision of my life 72 hours earlier on the backseat of a stranger's car. I told myself it was mercy, that telling him the truth now would only destroy him, that the betrayal meant less if I kept it buried. But the truth? I was terrified, because suddenly I saw the whole picture. The distance he'd shown lately wasn't apathy, it was planning. The late nights, the quietness, the distracted looks. He hadn't been pulling away. He had been preparing a future. Our future. And I had already burned it down. That night, we sat on the couch together. His arms wrapped around me. The TV played something neither of us watched. My head rested against his chest, but I couldn't feel it. My body was there. My mind was screaming. I kept replaying Brad's hands. The cold air. The look on his face when I said yes to a second drink. The way I hadn't even flinched when he leaned in, like I'd wanted to fall. And now, I was pretending to be a fiancé, wearing a lie like a second skin, smiling like it didn't burn. Michael was talking about the weekend. A hike. Maybe telling our parents the news. I nodded at all the right places. Even laughed. But the shame, it didn't creep in. It stabbed. And that's when it happened. My phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. "Hey. Just thinking about the other night. Hope you're okay. Brad." I stared at the screen like it might erase itself. It didn't. Another message. 15 seconds later. "You were amazing. We should do that again sometime." I turned the phone over. Closed my eyes. Felt my chest tighten until it was hard to breathe. I had no idea what was coming next. But something told me he wasn't going to disappear quietly. It started as a whisper. A single text. Casual, almost innocent. "Hey, just thinking about the other night. Hope you're okay." I didn't respond. I told myself he'd take the silence for what it was, a line drawn. I was engaged now. Whatever happened didn't belong in the light. But Brad wasn't done. 2 hours later. "You've been quiet. I thought we had something real." Still, I said nothing. Next morning, new number. "I guess you're busy. Or maybe playing house again." This time, my hands were shaking. I blocked the number, deleted the messages, pretended it was over. But it wasn't. Brad found another way in. A message request on a messaging app one hadn't used in months. "Don't be like that. We shared something. You came to me." I stared at that line for what felt like hours. He wasn't wrong. And that was the problem. I replied, "It was a mistake. Please don't contact me again." He answered instantly. "Mistake? Funny. You didn't look like it was a mistake that night." Then came the shift. The moment when everything started to tilt. Next message. "Would be a shame if your fiancé saw what you texted me." My stomach dropped. I typed fast. "Don't threaten me." He replied with a screenshot. My words. My name. The timestamp. You don't have to be afraid, he wrote. Let's just talk. One drink. No drama. I blocked him again. But it didn't matter. That night, I barely slept. Every sound outside the window felt too close. Every vibration of my phone a trigger. By morning, I was unraveling. And then the final message came from yet another number. No greeting. No pretense. Meet me. One conversation. Or I send everything. That was the moment I knew I was trapped. This wasn't a fling. It was a fuse. And it had been lit the moment I let him in. I stared at Michael that evening, watching him stir pasta like nothing was wrong. His ring glinting on my finger. My throat tight with words I couldn't say. I had a choice. Meet Brad and end it. Or gamble everything on silence. So I agreed. Just one meeting. One conversation. One last attempt to bury a secret that was already clawing its way to the surface. We met in a coffee shop near downtown. Neutral ground. Bright lights. Security cameras. I chose a table near the window, back to the wall, where I could see everything, including the exit. Brad arrived 5 minutes late. Confident. Relaxed. That same easy smile he wore the night everything went wrong. Like he thought this was a date. Sam, he said, sliding into the seat across from me. You look beautiful. I didn't respond. He ordered a drink like we had time. Like this wasn't a bomb ticking under the table. I leaned forward. This is the last time we talk. I'm engaged. What happened? It was a mistake. He sipped his coffee, nodded slowly, but his eyes were laughing. Funny. That's not how it looked when you were begging me not to stop. I froze. He leaned in just enough for his voice to drop. Look, I'm not the bad guy here. We had a moment. A real one. And now you're ghosting me? Come on. You knew I wasn't available, I said through clenched teeth. You knew I was vulnerable. And you still showed up. Don't put this on me. He wasn't yelling. He didn't have to. His calm was worse. It felt practiced. Brad, listen. I love someone. I made a mistake, and I'm trying to move on. I need you to respect that. He laughed short, cold. You think it's that easy? You just play house again and I vanish. I'm not asking you, I said. I'm telling you. That's when his tone changed. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. You really want to play this game? On the screen, a folder. My name on it. He didn't open it. He didn't have to. Just screenshots, he said. Nothing dangerous. Unless, of course, they end up in the wrong hands. My pulse roared in my ears. He wasn't bluffing. He didn't need to bluff. You think blackmail's going to work? I asked. I think, he said slowly, that you care what he thinks of you. I think you'll do anything to protect that pretty little life you're building, including meeting me once in a while. Just to talk. He stood up, tossed a few bills on the table. Think about it, he said, and walked out. I sat there for a long time after that. Coffee cold. Hands shaking. I didn't cry. There wasn't space for that anymore. Only fear. And one question running through my head. How long do I have before he makes good on his threat? I went home. Made dinner. Smiled like always. Kissed Michael goodnight. The next morning, it happened. The kitchen smelled like fresh coffee and toast. Sunlight streamed through the window blinds in soft stripes across the table. It should have been an ordinary morning, but it wasn't. Michael was sitting at the table. Still. Too still. His phone was face up on the table, screen glowing. He didn't look up when I walked in. That's when I knew. Something was wrong. Not loud. Not explosive. Precise. Hey, I said, forcing something light into my voice. You're up early. He didn't respond. Just reached for his phone. Slid it across the table toward me without a word. I looked down and froze. There it was. A screenshot. My name at the top. The message I'd sent Brad days ago. This was a mistake. Please don't contact me again. And below that, another. Earlier. Worse. You shouldn't have left that night. I couldn't sleep after. My heart stopped. He had them. All of them. Michael finally looked up. His eyes were unreadable. Not angry. Not sad. Just blank. Like something in him had been shut off. Do you want to tell me what this is? He asked. My throat was dry. I sat down, slowly, like my legs had forgotten how to hold me. There was no point in lying. So I told him everything. From the moment I found the ring, to the dinner with Claire, to Brad. I didn't dramatize it. Didn't ask for sympathy. Just the truth, stripped bare. Michael listened. Still. Quiet. And when I was done, he nodded. Once. He didn't yell. Didn't curse. Just stood up. Walked out of the kitchen. I followed him to the hallway, where he opened the bedroom closet. Pulled out a suitcase. Set it on the bed. Michael, wait. He stopped. Turned to face me. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you, he said quietly. But I don't even know who I've been living with. I reached for him. He stepped back. And that was the moment something broke. Not loud. Not messy. Just final. He started folding clothes. Methodically. Like it was just another trip. No shouting. No chaos. Just the sound of zippers and hangers. And silence. I stood in the doorway and watched the man I loved pack a life I destroyed. The door didn't slam. It clicked. Soft. Final. Like the end of a sentence you didn't know you were writing. Michael didn't shout. He didn't ask for explanations I hadn't already given. He just packed. T-shirt by t-shirt. Sweater by sweater. He folded with precision. Quiet hands. Hollow eyes. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, watching the man I loved erase himself from my life methodically, without rage. I didn't mean to hurt you, I said. The words felt stupid the second they left my mouth. He didn't answer. I tried again, stepping closer. It didn't mean anything. It was one night. He sipped his suitcase. Still silent. I reached for his arm. He flinched. Not big. Not theatrical. Just enough to say, don't. And it broke me more than yelling ever could. I panicked. I whispered. I thought you didn't love me anymore. I thought you had someone else. I didn't trust you, and I reacted. He turned then. Slowly. Looked at me like I was a stranger on the street. You could have just asked, he said. One sentence. That's all. And then the last thing I'll ever hear him say. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you. But I can't even look at you now. He picked up the suitcase. Walked past me. Didn't kiss my forehead. Didn't say goodbye. The door opened. I stepped forward, desperate. Michael, please. He paused. Just long enough to say, you didn't just break us. You made me feel like a fool for believing in you. And then he was gone. No slammed doors. No screaming tires. Just silence. And a ring. Still on the table. Untouched. The ring stayed where he left it. Center of the table. No box. No note. Just metal and silence. I didn't move it. I couldn't. It sat there like a monument to everything I destroyed. A reminder that once, someone believed I was forever, and then stopped. The house feels different now. Same furniture. Same walls. But the air's heavier. Like it knows. Like it judges. I used to love the quiet. Now, it feels like punishment. I still catch myself listening for his keys in the door. For his footsteps on the stairs. For his voice saying, you forgot your coffee again. But all I hear is the hum of appliances. And the sound of my own guilt breathing. I didn't tell anyone. Not Claire. Not my sister. Not my coworkers. Because how do you explain something so ugly? How do you say? I destroyed the man who loved me because I couldn't handle my own insecurity. Every time I touch my phone, I think of Brad. His messages are gone. Blocked. Deleted. But I know he's still out there. Somewhere. Waiting to be a threat again if he ever wants to. But the damage is done. He doesn't need to press any more buttons. I already detonated the bomb. Sometimes I sit in the car and just stay there. Engine off. Windows fogging. Staring at nothing. Because walking back into the house means facing what I've become. Not the betrayed. Not the broken. But the breaker. And that's the worst part. It wasn't Michael's absence that hurt the most. It was the moment I realized he left the version of me I wanted to be behind. The loyal one. The steady one. The one who would have waited, trusted, believed. I traded her for a moment of panic and a stranger's hands. And now I can't look in the mirror without hearing him say, you could have just asked. Days passed. Maybe weeks. Tom stopped keeping score. I didn't open the curtains. Didn't answer messages. Didn't tell anyone. I just existed, in the shell of a life that used to be warm. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom, his jacket still hanging by the door. But he wasn't coming back. I knew that now. And the ring? It never moved. I walked past it every morning, every night. Sometimes I sat across from it, like it might speak, like it might still hold the version of me who hadn't ruined everything. But I never picked it up, because touching it meant facing who I used to be, and who I was now. The silence in the house turned into something heavier. Not just absence, judgment. Even the walls seemed colder. I tried once to write him a letter, folded the page in half, wrote, if I could take it back. Then stopped, because what do you say to someone you betrayed before they even failed you? Sometimes, I hear a car pull into the driveway. My heart jumps, just for a second. But it's never him. He said he couldn't look at me anymore. I think he meant it. He didn't just walk away from me. He walked away from the idea of me. And now, all I have left is this ring, a question that will never be asked again. It still sits in the center of the table. Same place he left it. Untouched. Unclaimed. And I think that's the real punishment. Not the loneliness. Not the regret. But the fact that I will spend the rest of my life walking past the one thing I wanted most, knowing I was the reason it never made it to my hand. How do you like the story of Samantha and Michael? Samantha let fear write her story, and it cost her everything. Not because she made a mistake, but because she didn't trust the man who gave her no reason to doubt. Did you ever ruin something just because you didn't have the courage to ask one simple question? Write in the comments. Subscribe, more untold stories are on the way.